There are quite a lot of settings to cover within the activity create, and the demo will try and cover most of the options. If there's any specific questions you have, feel free to put them in the chat. There'll be some time at the end to answer the ones that are helpful for everyone to know about. And then if there's anything specific, you'll have the team at Cornwall, or you'll have the team at Playwaze's support details. So we'll get in touch. We'll make sure that everything you're trying to achieve is set up as you need it. So if you are a new provider, there will be a specific community create link that you will have, and if you don't, then you can follow this one. So I'll just paste that in the chat. I'd recommend watching or listening to the demo and then going and following that create at a later date. So the create will ask you at the start to create a Playwaze account. So that will quickly be an email and a password and a name for your account. As soon as you've created the account, you'll be taken through a create journey. So the journey quite literally is step by step. It will touch on all the settings that I'm going to show you in a community edit. So you'll, by the end of the create, have a community, and this is where you'll manage staff permissions. You'll be able to access some reporting, some extra helpful features, and you'll also have the ability to then create your activities. So the create itself, step by step, once you've finished that, you'll have a community. So the first page you'll see is a dashboard. So if you're a returning provider, you will already have access to this dashboard. The first thing I'd probably recommend doing for this delivery period is to come and visit your community settings, so the general settings. This gives you an opportunity to update your logo, your banner images, some provider names, the location at which you're delivering from, and then there's some guidance that the team at Cornwall Lewis will share following the call as a reminder as to what you can add to your community description. So if you have a What Three Words location or a Google Map link of all your venues, then you can pop them in here. If you've got parking details, transport options, and a list of your planned summer activities, then the community description is quite a nice place to give parents who do find the description an overall view of what you're looking to deliver. So the create will prompt you for a lot of this information, but as a returning provider, or after you've created, you can come and add additional options and fields. So the team are also asking you to provide a support address, a contact phone number, and a Facebook page or an Instagram link. So you'll have the options to add these via edit or during the create. There'll be a few other community settings that you might just want to double check. So just make sure that you've got don't display member names to other members on and hide member profiles ticked. The community create will automatically be set to those settings, but it's worth double checking that. Just make sure that if there is a user taking a look at the registers, etc., all the members details, etc., are nicely hidden, so you'll only be able to see those as admins. Sorry. So the first thing you want to do is create or update your community. You want to try and make sure that your location is accurate. So you should try and have this as your main venue or your address. So when you do come to select a location, you can find or create a venue. So you can create these yourself. So the venues can be used on your communities, and you can also create venues for your activities. So if they're taking place in a number of different locations, then it will be handy to come and manage your venue. So from the manage button on the left, you can click venues. Oh, sorry. And then you'll have an option here to come and add all the venues you might need. So I made a couple test ones earlier. The venue create hopefully should be quite simple. So search for the Google Map location of the venue you're trying to make. Oh, sorry. Click next, and then we'll show you some possible venues that are already created. You may or may not see these. You can skip and create a new venue if there isn't one that you'd like to use. And then there's a whole host of information that you can give. Now, the venue is really important on the activity because the venue is shared in the booking confirmation. So the venue will contain the Google Map location. So this potentially will be the PIN that parents are going to arrive at, and they'll have access to the venue name as well. So where you can, make sure the Google Map location that you chose in the previous screen is as accurate as you have it. And then also the venue name. You can add some additional description about the venue, so what type of venue it is. There's lots of options. And then you can add a description on the venue as well. So again, you might add a what 3 words, location, etc. for that specific venue, some parking details, etc. And then you can choose a location for the venue as well. And then you'll be given the option to finish your venue. So some of our providers outside of this use case will add some more details. So they'll say when the venue opens and closes, etc. But you won't need to do that for your venues. Your venues will act as the location primarily for the activities. So as soon as you've got a location, you can then go and select that through the community edits, the general settings edit. And because these are now created, when you get to the activity create flow, you can select a venue that exists or create a new one there and then for that activity. So it'll be helpful potentially to create the venues beforehand if you like, but if you don't remember, then you can always do that during the create flow. What you will need to do as a new provider, if you're planning to take payments, is click on this payments option on the left. So what you will see is a request or an integration request from Stripe. So there'll be a big blue button that says link to Stripe. So we do partner with Stripe as a payment provider. The flow itself will ask you to log in to your Stripe account, and then the system will kind of link. By the end of that, if you do take any payments with Playwaze, you'll have kind of a transaction history on Playwaze, and then in your Stripe account, your Stripe dashboard, you'll have a reference of all the payments, the booking information, etc. And you'll take the payments directly, so they'll all be given to the Stripe account that you've linked. So I can't go through an example of that on the test site, but if you do have any problems with it, just let us know. You'll be taken through the steps that you need. By the end of it, you'll have the dashboard connected and a nice success message. So once you've done all of that, you will be ready to create your activities. What you might want to do just before that is you might want to manage some of your member permissions. So if you've got other staff members that you'd like to have admin permissions, you can invite them to join your community using the invite option. You can add members if they have joined your community, which they can do in a number of ways, and they're a member. What you can do is you can visit the settings cog and you can come and give them permissions. So if I was going to give Playwaze child in this example admin rights, which will let them come to add activities, pull reports, view member information, then I can give them the same permissions that I have here. So if I toggle that on, that account would then have the admin view, and they'll be able to assist with delivery as well. If you have other staff members that you don't want to give admin permissions, but you might want them to take registers for specific activities, what we have within the activities feature is an organizer option. So I'll show you where to select a different organizer. And what that does is that will give them permission to manage that activity and only that activity, so they won't be able to view exports, member information, other than the members that are attending that session, etc. So I'll touch on that as we go. There are a few other features that you might find useful on the system. So the news feature might be useful if you're delivering. Again, you'll potentially have a whole members list of parents and children who have booked before. So when bookings do open, you can reach out using the news feature to create a post, and you can send a post and an email to the Playwaze accounts that you have in your community to say, come and have a look at our bookings, they're available again. You can pop a nice image and some descriptive text here, and then we'll send everyone an email if you'd like with the news post as well. So it can be quite a useful tool for just reaching out to some of the members of your communities that you may have interacted with previously. I'll go through the activity create flow now. There's a few different settings that we'll cover. So you should all have premium activities enabled for you. So as soon as you followed the create link for your community, you'll sit within the Active Cornwall network. So a handy way of checking that you're in the network is you'll have the link to the Active Cornwall network at the top. So you can click that, it will take you to the Active Cornwall page. And that just ensures that all the booking forms, all the discount rules that we're going to talk about in the activity create flow are there for you ready. So you will have premium activities on, so you can click start setup, and then you'll be running in-person activities, so at physical location. There's a couple other options, but these are only for online or virtual activities. So select in-person, and then you have the opportunity to give an activity name. You can select an image, and you can select an activity type. So by default, I believe you'll have activity holiday camp as an option. If you do search for certain sports that you might run, then you can have a look here and select one that might suit the activity best. But if you can't find what you're looking for, select activity holiday camp. The imagery and the description for the activities are what can make your sessions stand out. So on the Active Cornwall activity finder, the image will be what's seen on the result page. So try and use one that's engaging. And then you'll have the option for an activity description. So I'm just going to paste some of the suggestions to include in this description. So what we're asking you to include, if you can, is what 3 words or Google Map links to your venues. I'm just going to check that that's the activity one. Yeah. The list of activities, etc., similar to what you've got in your community create. You will probably also want to describe what's taking place at the activity, give a description of the day. Lewis, are there any other points, sorry, that you would want added in this description here?
Probably the only other bit within that is if you are running anything which is, if you're running free school meal only sessions, or any SEND specifics sessions, and if there's paid spaces available, if that's not going through this system, how else they can book onto that? Because I know that there are a number of providers that use their own booking systems for paid spaces and things like that. So just trying to make that as easy as possible, really, for families to be able to book onto, really. While I've got you, Ryan, we have had a question about the venue setup. Mm-hmm. Is it possible, where you had to add the image, is it possible to add a video to the venue setup as well, or not?
The venues will not display a video. The activities can display a video. So the very next box in the description does let you upload a video specific to that activity. So the searches will show the activity images, and then the activity feature itself, so the results on the Active Cornwall Finder, will all have the option to display a video. So if you do have promotional content for the activity day, then you can come and upload the video, or you can paste a link, for example, to YouTube here. And that will show the video for the activity. The venues don't show as much, they're used to kind of locate the activity, but the activity feature is absolutely where you'd want to upload a video. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Cool. So after the description, you will want to turn the waiting list on and automatic notifications on. So what this will do for you is when you have a cancellation, anyone on the waiting list will be sent a notification. So parents can sign up to a waiting list when a session is full. So they might still have interest in booking that session across the summer if there are any cancellations, etc. The system will send the account that's on the waiting list a nice email to say, there's a space available, would you like to come and book this? And that will be sent to everyone on the waiting list. You can skip the next setting. It's not relevant in your use case, but if you don't mark the register, it will ask someone to confirm if they went or not, but you will be required to check the attendances, so you can skip that setting. And then we ask you to select sign in and sign out. So it's a new feature that we've introduced across the summer, and it will give you the option on the register on Playwaze to not only mark a user as attended by marking them signed in or signed out, or both, but we also give you an option to print a list of who's coming if it is handy, if you don't have suitable kind of mobile coverage or access during your sessions. You do have an option also to have kind of a paper sheet there, but the system will primarily give you the ability to do that online, so you can do that on a laptop, tablet or a mobile view on your phone. You'll then be asked to give some basic information about the activity, so this will be useful to show on the finders. So if there is a specific age range that your sessions are suitable for, then you can pop those in here, and that will be shown on the activity display. These are generally sport-specific requirements, but if there's a specific ability level, if you're running a gender-only session, or if you're suitable for any of the disabilities in this list, then you can multi-select the options that you can facilitate for. Again, you've also had the option to pop SEND specific information in the description as well to help parents when they are considering what they can book. You're then asked to schedule your activities. So if you're running multiple dates across the summer, you will likely want to select a repeating schedule. You can create a one-off activity, which will make an activity that runs only once or one day. And you can select one off here, and you can create blocks. Lewis, do you know if many providers, if any, would be planning to use blocks?
No, I don't think anyone is planning on doing blocks.
So yeah, I'll cover just repeating then. The one-off is a shortened version of the repeat create. So we'll ask you how long your session runs for. So you put that in there, so 8 hours in this example. And then you're asked to set a limit on the number of participants that you're taking bookings for. So it's worth noting, if you're taking free and paid sessions or free and paid places, that this needs to be the total capacity that you're offering. So if you're taking 10 free bookings and 10 paid places, then you would set the limit in this example to 20. If you are setting the capacity, I believe you're asking people to add 10% to their total capacity. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Yes.
And that would be, is that just free school meal places?
Yes. Yeah, just 10% free meal spaces, 10% free meal spaces. Yeah.
Okay, so if you were offering 10 free school meal places and 10 paid places, so we'll do that in this example, you would set a total limit on the number of participants that can book to 21. And then you can break down how many places that you're offering in the payment section. If you're taking just free bookings on the system, then you would, in this example, just pop 11 in here, and then the system will allow you to take 11 free school meal places. You're then asked to select an organizer of the activity. So by default, this will be your admin account. This is the setting I was talking to earlier that you might give a member of staff who needs to mark register for that activity day. So if they have their own Playwaze account and they've joined your community, they won't be an admin, but you can search for them in this box. As soon as you select them, when they visit the activity, they'll have the ability to view and manage it just like you can. Again, you can select or change the venues. So you'll have the options for the venues that you've already created that are in your community, or you can click find and create a venue, and that will take you through the flow that we went through earlier. You're then given the option to open and close bookings, so you can skip this. As soon as you create the activity, we'll ask you to hide that, and I'll show you how to hide it from the manage page when we finish create. But all the bookings will open on, I'm not sure the date they're open on, but you're asked to upload them by the 20th. Is that right, Lewis?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. And then all the bookings will be opened at the same time by the team at Active Cornwall. So you can skip these settings and then you'll be asked to schedule the activities that you're running. So this is the bit that can get a little tricky. You do have the option to edit your activity as soon as you've created it. And again, if you've got any problems with the schedule that you're trying to create, feel free to get in touch and we can make sure that you have the schedule that you need. It's worth noting here, if you're running activities at different venues, you'll need to create different activities. So you would come through this create flow twice and you would select a different venue here. So what you can do is you can schedule for one venue. So you'll be asked to select the first date at which you'd like an activity. So in this example, I'm going to say first session is on 7th of July. And then what time the session starts. So we'll say it's 8 o'clock. And how often would I like that to repeat? So if I'm running a session daily, Monday to Friday, we'll create a session from the 7th on every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday until you tell the system when to stop creating sessions. So if I select Friday the 25th, we will create, in this instance, 15 sessions on every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. You do have the option to add a couple of schedules. So if you've got some slightly different weeks, then you can potentially adjust the scheduling. You'll just need to make sure potentially that your dates aren't overlapping, you're not duplicating the sessions that you want. So if we also wanted to change the schedule for August and we were saying that the sessions from the 4th of August were slightly different and they only run on a Monday, Thursday and a Friday, then you could change the dates here to say from the 4th onwards until the 22nd, that will only create sessions on the Monday, Thursday and Friday. So the scheduling hopefully gives you what you need, but if you do have any trouble, just let us know. We'll be able to help you out with that. If you're taking free bookings only, then there'll be a funded bookings only form or similar in your view. So you'll be able to select that and there'll be kind of a default booking form that parents will complete. You'll be able to take a look and you can make some small adjustments if you need to add eligibility such as date of birth requirements, etc. But if you're taking just funded bookings, then you can select the form. If you're taking payments, then all of this information or all of those fields will be requested because there's an additional kind of network form that oversees all of your delivery. You'll leave this as no form and then you'll need to set up in the payment options the price and the ability to take a free school meal booking. So if you are taking bookings that are funded only, so free, then select funded bookings. If you're taking payments as well, then you can leave the form off. If you're taking payments, or if you're not taking payments, then you can leave payments as no. And then if you are taking payments, as it would suggest, select yes. So what you're now asked to give is the price per booking that you'd like to take, and you've already connected your merchant account or your Stripe dashboard, so you'll see the person's name who's connected the account. So this will pay my demo account, and then you will need to set up your discount rules. So what you would do for the discount is you'd create a name for the discount. So it might be free school meal voucher or similar. You'll set the price. So this would need to be free, and then you'll select a rule. So there will already be discount rules across the system. So in this test community, there will be a free school meal discount rule you can select. I think there might be a couple of other ones that you can select from in the live example, the live network. But you'll need to select the discount rule and how many spaces that you're offering. So if the example we were following was 10 spaces increased by 10%, you would offer 11 free school meal bookings. What the system will do when you say that you're offering 11 spaces here is it will allow a free school meal voucher, or anyone eligible for the free school meal voucher, to book up to 11 places, and then it will keep the remaining 10 for payments. If your session is full and you have parents trying to book who are only trying to use the voucher, but all the places are taken, they will be given the option to pay, but the system will show that the free school meal vouchers are full. But it's just worth keeping in mind if they get in touch when you come to view your registers, etc. You'll be able to see who's booked, how many places have been taken with the spaces. You are given the option to bundle your bookings. Some of our other providers will offer free bookings for the price of two, as you might, as would be suggested here. So you could offer free bookings at a reduced price per booking. You can skip that if it's not relevant, and then you have the option to add add-ons. So if you're offering lunch options, you might describe those here. You can charge a price for them. If you are charging a price for your lunch options, then you would also need to add a free school meal discount. You would also have to add a free school meal discount here. So you would need to create a price for 0 and make sure you select that rule again, and that will let the user who's entitled to the free school meals also book lunch at no cost. They'll be able to book the session and potentially say what type of lunch option. So some providers will have a few types of add-ons. So you might make one for vegetarian lunch, one for meat, one for vegan, for example. There's a few other ways you can do that if it is helpful, but that will let someone add that on as they book, and will adjust their basket based on what you choose. You'll then be able to finish the create flow nearly. So QR codes you can skip, select no, I don't need QR codes. And then you're given one option here really to adjust your booking reminder. So we'll send everyone a reminder a day before their activity. The parents will receive a notification on the system by email, and that will just let them know that they've got a booking coming up tomorrow, and it will have some reminder information for what the activities including, etc. on that reminder. So they'll have an email for the booking confirmation, and then they'll get a notification a day before. If you've marked an organizer of the activity, we'll also send them a reminder just to take the register. And then you're able to continue, and you'll be given an option to publish on Playwaze only. So select this one. We'll make sure that your activities are correctly shown on the activity finder. So click publish to Playwaze, and then you'll be taken through to a manage page. The manage page will look like this. The first thing you want to do here is just to hide the activity. So you don't want to take any bookings before you're ready to, before the go live date. So make sure you click hide. And what you'll see from the My Activities page is you'll see the activity here, and it'll be marked hidden. You've then got a few options. So the first thing you will want to do is just to check that you've got all the dates created that you're looking to take bookings for. So it's worth scrolling down the whole page, just make sure you've got the schedule that you're looking for. If you don't, click edit, and then you'll have, similar to the create, you'll have the option to come and make some adjustments to everything that you've just created. If you need to delete the whole activity and start again, you can click delete. If you've taken bookings, etc., this will remove everything. So this deletes the full activity. So if you can, avoid deleting the whole thing. But if you have just created it, not quite as you'd like, then feel free to try again. You can always get in touch with us. We can help you make edits, etc. But if you do want to just try again, you can click delete. You do have share options for the activity, so you can put this on Instagram, social media posts, send those to parents specifically when bookings are open. They can follow the public page link, and what that will do is that will let them book the session. So if I click public page and change the tab, this is roughly what your activity will look like on the activity finder. So you can come and check that everything you've popped on here is correct. So you'll have your support email address, phone numbers. When you've put social medias, etc., they should be available here. You can see the price for the booking, and that you've got the discount option available. Again, another share link to share that out. And then you'll have all of your description, your venue, and the location and name of your venue that you've popped in there. So parents will be able to see all of this. So it's useful just to come and take a quick look at that, make sure that everything looks good as you'd expect. And then what you have are a few options for the activities themselves. So by clicking on booked, or by clicking the three little dots here, you'll have the ability to reach your register, to add users to a specific date, to message anyone who's booked on to the 7th. You can reschedule the date. You can adjust the capacity if you need to. You can cancel, and you can remove a date without bookings. So if I click remove, I should be able to remove that date, and you'll see that the 7th is no longer here. If you've got bookings, you might need to cancel. So you can cancel the session. You'll be able to get in touch with everyone who's booked, let them know that the session's cancelled. I believe there's a notification that goes out with that as well. I'm just going to move to another activity because I added some bookings earlier. So this isn't the one that we've just created, but you will have a few other options as well. So you'll be able to see who's booked. So if you open the register, we'll give you a view based on the date that you've clicked. So the 7th for the 7th in this example, you will see the sign in and sign out option. So by checking one of these, you'll mark Playwaze child as attended. Depending on how you add them, we do have an additional option to say if they've paid or not. So you would see in this example that they're eligible for free school meals. So if you have added them, you can say that there's no requirement for them to pay, so you can just check those off. But you can check the user as signed in, signed out, and we'll stamp who's done that, the time, the date of when. You'll have the option to kind of print the sign-in sheet if you do want to use that, and you'll have an export for the register just like you would have had before. That will pull off the booking information, etc. You can message the users on the day. Again, reschedule, change capacity, and add. So if I was looking, I don't think I'll have any other accounts to add, but if I was looking for a user, I would search for the user. I'll be able to select the account that I want to add, and I should be able to add them to the booking. and then you'll see the booking there for you. If you are adding any child, for example, it's really important that you come and update the booking form. So click the three little dots in the register and you'll be given the option to update the booking form. If you've added someone, there will not be add-ons automatically given as well. So we've done some improvements this summer. So you can now add add-ons. So you can say that we're going to give them the lunch option as well. So you can add that to the register so you know what they plan to eat. And then you can update the booking form as well. So the booking form will have all of kind of the mandatory information that you need to book. So you'll have emergency contact information, you'll have a description potentially of the child, and lots of other helpful information. So if you do add anyone as an admin, you will need to update that form just to make sure you've got all the information that you need. A parent, when they're booking, so preferably you want the parents to be making the booking, they'll be asked all of that information through the booking flows that they're following. But you will potentially need to manage some bookings, so you can add that there. I think that covers most of the manage. You do have a couple of other options that will be handy when you're managing bookings, etc. So from the reporting page on the left, you can click activities and we'll give you kind of an overall view of what's taking place in your community. So if you've got a number of activities, we'll kind of list those here. So you'll see each day and which venues. But what's quite handy is being able to filter by bookings. So if you've got parents getting in touch and you filter to bookings, then you can see a summary of all the bookings that are taking place in your community. So you can potentially query if they have a booking, you can help them out. If you type the account name, it should restrict the bookings based on anyone with that name. So this will show everyone with the name Playwaze. And then you'll have some additional information here to export. And then you'll have another custom export as well from the custom page. Again, you can click activity reporting and export, or you can click bookings and export, and we'll give you some kind of Excel documents with lots of information. So the exports do differ slightly, so it might be worth taking a look around at the different ones. But you should have most of what you need within the activity. And then you do have the option to then search for some booking information, etc. I don't know if there's anything else that you want me to touch. Oh, forms actually. What I'll try and show you now is the forms feature. So if you're using funded bookings, there's a form for you already and it's created. And if you aren't, then when you visit, for example, your community form, you'll have padlocks on all the fields that Active Cornwall have set up for you, and these will all be asked when booking. So there's a whole host of those. What you might need to do for your activity is create a rule to prevent potentially a child who's too young to book or too old. So you might have some restrictions as to what types or what age ranges you can have attend. So what you can do is you can create a general form. If you're taking funded bookings only, you can copy that form, and what you'll need to do is you'll try and give your form a useful name. So this should probably represent the rules that you're going to add. And then you would want to add a rule to the date of birth field. So what you might need to do is to restrict who can book. So you can say that for someone to book, their age must be greater than 4 years old. So you'll allow 5-year-olds to book. And their age must be less than 11. If you then submitted this rule, this would allow anyone older than 4 to book and anyone younger than 11 to book. So you can restrict age, the bookings based on age, or you can do specific date of birth. rules or dates. This one's slightly more difficult. When we are setting this up in support, we'll often use a date of birth calculator, so you can find some handy ones online. But what you can do here is you can say, let's use today's date, that if anyone who needs to book needs to be born before the 12th of the 6th, 2020, this would make sure that they're at least 5 years old, and they can't be born after 12th of the 6th, 2015, and that would make sure that they're no older than 10. So if you're born in 2014, you're going to be 11 years old. So you can add date of birth rules as well, and that lets you be a little more specific for potentially the school years that I believe run September till August. So you can add specific dates that you would allow to book, etc., if you need to. And then you would need to submit the rules to the form and save that. And then you just need to make sure that this form is being used in your activity. And then when anyone tries to book, when they get to the date of birth field, you'll be able to prevent bookings. You can add a custom message if you'd like to say you must be aged 5 to 10, etc. Are there any specific questions on that one?
No, we have had one other question around, is it possible to add children to multiple days, or do you have to do each day separately?
Currently, you can add multiple users to one day. So if you do have a child that needs to be booked onto multiple days, your best or the best current way of doing that is to add them to the first day, update the booking form, because we'll save that to the account, and then you have to add them to each day. We do have an improvement that will come later in the summer. We haven't got a committed date, but by Christmas, there I believe will be an option to add one user to multiple days, or add a user to an activity, and at the same time add all the booking information, take a payment, etc., as if you're booking on behalf of the parent. So you can take the card details over the phone to really help them book. But for that specific question, you would have to add the user to each date, one at a time. So if you're booking a pair of siblings, you could add 2 to the first date, and then you'd have to go to the second date.
Okay, thank you.
To be honest, unless there's any other parts of the system that you want me to touch on, Lewis, I'm really happy to answer any questions. Hopefully this gives everyone kind of a view on the new manage page, and should be enough for everyone to get up and running.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's been really good. Thank you, Ryan. Just probably from us, just to reinforce some of those points which Ryan's mentioned, is around the waiting list and auto notification, overbooking by 10%, and if possible, offer both paid and funded spaces. So the reasons for that is basically aligns with our no-show strategy. So last year, so the last financial year, we paid over £180,000 for children not showing up, and obviously we don't want to be wasting that money where we can. So everything which we've said there, it aligns with that, or is there to try and help you as a provider to create those relationships with those parents. So to make sure that those contact email addresses and phone numbers are there. If possible, if you can add who's the contact on the day, so if a parent is running late or not able to make because their child's ill, or all these things, we want to try and make sure that's as open and as easily for you guys to be contacted as possible. So we will send out that list in our weekly comms tomorrow, so that everyone has that wherever possible. Obviously, with the discounts, obviously make sure you add those discounts correctly. So just making sure that you've got that free school meal discount rule in both the discounts and the add-ons. So that's one thing, but also making sure that you've got the right form attached. So just to re-mention, funded bookings only if you're only having children on free school meals. If you are having payments, then it's the no form section. In terms of the key dates, we're still, our plan at the moment is to be going live on the 24th. I think that's Tuesday the 24th. Although if possible, we'd like everything uploaded onto Playwaze by the 20th. The reason for that is we're actually out of the office on the 25th. So if there are any issues, we're not going to be able to get to it until the Thursday after we go live. So obviously try and make sure that everything is as smooth as possible in those first few days. If you can get ready on Friday the 20th, it gives us the Monday just to make sure everything is all good. And then if we can make sure the registers are all complete, ideally as you go, it helps us have keep a good track of attendance, things like that. But if not, they must be done by Friday the 12th of September. That's the absolute deadline to get all registers in. Ryan's mentioned a few links. The support at playwaze.com email address, I think that's still correct, it's still valid, which Ryan's just dropped in there. So please contact them if you do have any problems, or if not, then obviously myself and Beth are around as sort of key contacts. And also use the knowledge base, but hopefully that's all been good. Just replying to that question to Sasha, yes, that was my mistake around the sending out an empty folder last week. So that will be attached with the logos into it ready. That is all my fault. Hands up, sorry. But yeah, if there is anything else, then just please drop any quick questions into the chats or get in touch with us. If not, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the summer.